Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to do a quick Let's Play. It's really going to be more of a nation review and an after-action report. First I'm going to do the nation review. It's going to be for the nation TienChi. And it's a nation modeled after ancient China. So what we're going to do in this first episode, I'm going to go through my pretender design. And then I'm going to go through the national troops. In the next episode, I'll just take you through how the game went. It's a game I ended up losing. I will do long Let's Play videos for games that I lose, but this one I kind of got stomped. So it's not going to be, it wouldn't be a very interesting, fun series. It would just be painful watching me get stomped. But other games, if I make it healthy into the mid-game, I'll definitely show it even if I lose. Dominions is the kind of game that you're definitely going to lose a fair amount. So I'm not doing this. I definitely don't win half the games I play. So it's important to be a good loser. And I actually wasn't a great loser this game, just because I had a lot of stuff come up in real life. And so another game I won, and then this game which I lost. I was playing at the same time in both games. I struggled to get turns in, but I still tried. So I'll show you a few pretender designs. You have cap-only sacreds that you can recruit at the beginning. Then you have a bunch of different sacreds that you can recruit with gems if you go up Conjuration. And you also have a battlefield summon that you can recruit that is sacred. So the argument can be made for blessing, for a strong bless, which is what I did. But you can also play without doing a bless. So I'll just show you the pretender build I did, and this is an extremely greedy build. I think it actually was a mistake. I'm going to play this nation again, I think, in a multiplayer without such a strong bless. But this gives you these kind of glass cannon troops. Fire gives you the attack bonus, and then the flaming weapons, and then the water makes you have a higher defense, and then quickness, so you get more attacks. And Astral gives you magic resistance, which is quite useful in Twist Fate. So this is a pretty cool build. It synergizes well with a lot of different troops you have. The problem, though, is you have to trash your scales. You end up having to go imprisoned. You have to trash these. Usually, if you go Turmoil, I like to take luck. You can always use some gems. You could do, something like... You could do something like this. This will give you a fair amount of national troops. A lot of your mages are sacred too, so it's going to cut down on your the number of warriors of the 5 elements you can recruit. You can do something like this for a really greedy build. There are tons of other ways to build this nation. Usually you want to have some kind of bless. A water bless is really strong. So even something like this, this could be good. Or bump it up to 5. 5 is kind of the minimum you need for Astral to get Wish later in the game. Though you could do something like that. Earth is great. Air is okay. This guy gets Fortune Teller, which is kind of nice. Let's see what else. I'd basically, there's probably a lot of different builds you can do. You have a lot of flexibility in your troops. What I think we're going to go ahead and do, we'll settle with this guy. I'm going to bump him back up. 9, 9, 9. This fire one's really expensive. The fire one's really important. I'll explain later if you do this particular extremely greedy build. I think I have debug turned on. I do. Okay. So I have a mod turned on so that I can just show you all of the troops with the research before we really get started. I'm just going to go through a few turns real quick. This isn't showing you how to expand. I just want to show you the troops. So we'll go through our roster first. Now that I have some recruited. You have a scout. You have a noble commander. This guy comes with your province defense. At 110 gold, he's pretty good. He has trample, good defense, good protection. If you put 1 PD in a province, you get one of these guys. And usually you don't want to put more PD in a province until you can put significantly more. Because what will happen is your PD will die, and then he will rout. And he is better. It's better to put 1 PD in a province than 5, because this guy's a badass. So he's good. He's a good leader, 80 leadership. Then you have these, Master of Dead. Very cheap, but pretty poor research, and only Death 1. And Death 1 is not usually very useful, but for your nation it is very useful, and we'll explain why. Then you have these guys, Masters of the Way. They're 135. They have 2 more research, which if you take drain scales like me is a big deal. I should have recruited way more of these guys in the game I was in. But they're Water 1, and then they have a random for Air, Water, Astral, or Nature. The Astral ones are very important because they allow them to be communion slaves, and then they also give you the Water Astral Cross Path, which is very good for one of your national summons. The Air ones make good Alquill Forgers. The Water ones are best for summoning water elementals and kind of that kind of magic. The Nature ones give you some Water Nature cross paths, like Clam of Pearls, and then also it allows you to summon crocodiles and things like that. So anyway, not bad. These guys, Master of the 5 Elements, they have 1 in each of the elemental paths, and then they get an additional 1. They benefit greatly from a crystal shield once you forge it, so figuring out how to get crystal gear is pretty important with these guys. Not only for the crystal shield, but also master and slave matrices, which are pretty important if you want to drop turn 1 spells. You don't have great access to communion slaves, though you have these guys who make great communion masters. So yeah, these guys are pretty solid. They're Water 2. They're your only Holy 2 priest. This is why it says that your nation has average priest access. They actually have horrible priest access, because these are slow to recruit, they're capital only, and they're your only H2 priest. So one of the problems going with the strong bless strategy, like I did in this game, is you have a really hard time blessing your troops. They get 2 random paths. They can get a air, water, astral, or they can get a fire, earth, death, nature. So you can get some interesting path combos here. The one that you really want, you don't have earth, so you really want to get an earth cross path. That allows you to get the crystal gear, and it's even better if you get an earth astral. Crystal coins too are another important booster. So your mages are very low path, but you have high diversity, so you're going to be very strong at initial site searching. Importantly, these guys can also fly, which for a lot of your troops won't matter, but you have a couple summons who can fly. So these are your troops. Your commanders. These 2 mages, the warrior, Master of the Dead and Master of the Way, you can recruit at forts. Your other 2 mages are cap only. In terms of troops, your troops are kind of mediocre. This is an extremely average footman, though he has a long pike. You have another footman with a less long pike that does more damage. 20 versus 15. You have your footmen, and these are all map move 2 that I've been going through. They have a shield, but even less damage, and not as long. You have an archer. It's a kind of nice archer. 10 gold is pretty standard, but they have 10 protection, so they're going to hold up pretty well, and they also have a composite bow. So, they're going to be very effective as archers versus other archers and versus most other guys. It's a pretty damn good troop. Their stat line's not that bad once they get into combat. Not much worse than your other troops. They'll die, but they're not going to die in droves. You have your medium footmen. These guys are still map move 2. They have slightly better protection than your other dudes. Cost more resources. That's about it. Then you have this guy, the medium footman. Kind of the same. Has pretty high defense thanks to the tower shield. Your heavy footmen are now map move 1, but they have pretty damn good protection. That's basically the only change. But map move 1 is a big sacrifice. And then you have these heavy footmen who have the spear and tower shield, so they are even more tanky with 15 protection and 13 defense. But again, map move 1. Then you have these horsemen who are horse archers. They have composite bows. They cost twice as much as your other bowmen, but they also have a light lance. So you can definitely do a strategy around these guys. They're not too expensive, and they have otherwise a pretty decent stat line. You have your nobles who are charioteers. They're size 4, so they can crush human infantry size 2 pretty easily, and they can also trample size 3 horsemen and things like that, but not terribly well. They have good protection, probably your best protection unit, and high defense, so they're a good unit. You kind of need a lot of them, a critical mass, but they're pretty effective versus a lot of troops. They are expensive, though. They're definitely expensive. And then finally you have the Warrior of the 5 Elements. This is a pretty solid warrior. 35 gold is pretty cheap, especially for a sacred. What that means is it's going to have the upkeep of about a 20 gold unit. And there's a few important things about them. One is they have a great stat line. They have awesome defense and good attack. They don't have great HP or protection. And they're really vulnerable to archers. They don't have headgear, which tends to be what gets hit with archers. And they don't have a shield. So there is a strong argument for an air bless. Even a light air bless on these guys makes them hold up much better to archer fire. They have 2 swords, though. And these swords do a fair amount of damage, 16. But if you hit them with quickness and a fire bless, they just become absolute monsters. And especially if your opponent is running on an elite or thug strategy where they're going to have 20 really elite troops and they think they're going to kill you, these guys will absolutely murder them. Just absolutely murder them. Especially with the bless I came up with. But for the things that I actually fought in this particular game, you will get murdered. Like archers. Archers just tear these guys apart. They also have shock, fire, and cold resistance, which is quite nice. It's pretty rare to find on a troop. They have strength and spring, so they have more, I think it's 25 or 50% more hit points during spring, which is nice. Yeah, so they're a really good troop. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to get a few things from just the debug mod. And we're going to get a bunch of our national summons. I'm going to summon these up super quick. Let's see. Heavenly Rivers, Celestial Hounds. I'm getting all of our national summons real quick. Celestial Soldiers, Heavenly Fires. I think I've got them all now. Oh, I don't have this one. And did I get all of them? I think I have all of them now. Okay. Oh, I don't have enough nature gems, that's why. So, sorry, I probably should have done this before the game. But this will show you the troops. Okay, so here are our national summons. You have these guys, Celestial Servants. All of your national summons are sacred. So these guys are quite strong. Then you have Celestial Hounds, which are flying, and they have 2 attacks, so they're going to benefit from an aggressive bless strategy like fire, water, astral. They have decent hit points. You have these guys, your Demons of the River. They're kind of your best frontline troop. They're amphibious, so they're going to give you a good way to get in the ocean in a very powerful way if you can get a good priest to lead them. They have decent protection. They have pretty high base armor, and then they have a decent skull necklace, which applies to the head and the body. So they're pretty high protection. They get Berserk 4, which means once they get hit, their protection is going to jump up, I think, to 19. Though they're going to lose some defense. They're very high attack damage. They're a very high damage unit, which will go up even farther once they're berserked. So these are quite strong, and I think they're size 3. So you can fit 2 per square. These are a really good unit. They take water gems. So that's another reason to go the Water Bless. If you ever get Maelstrom down, you can start spamming these guys out. They're very strong. Celestial Soldiers, I think these guys are size 4, so you can only fit 1 per square. But they can mix in with your Warrior of the 5 elements. They're kind of your best tank, except for you can only fit 1 per square. 38 HP, a lot of defense and attack, a lot of protection. You kind of want to run a Nature Bless with these guys too, because your Warriors of the 5 elements don't have much HP, and they will definitely benefit from more HP and regen. But they're pretty solid. They take air gems. And then you have these guys, your Demon of Heavenly Fires. They're not actually demons, but they do have fire resistance, and they do have fire power, which is an argument for taking a fire or heat dominion. And they have heat, which is another argument for taking a heat dominion. They have no protection, though. But they have 2 attacks. One is this Flaming Fist, which is a range 30 armor-piercing fire attack that does a lot of damage equal to their strength. And then they have Flaming Fist, which is an area... I think is... Oh, maybe this is an area of effect. But basically, it hits them, and then it does fire damage afterwards. So it does more than 15 damage. But yeah, they're pretty damn solid. These guys are all pretty good. What I'm going to show you now is... let's make one of these guys a preacher. Where are you? Okay, we're going to make you our prophet. And we're going to recruit a handful more of these guys. And I'll just show you how expansion can work with these jokers. You will see how nasty these Warriors of the 5 elements are with the Bless I outlined. Okay, so these guys are going to run... Where's a throne? Are there any thrones nearby? I kind of want to make my way to a throne. There's one down here, okay. So we're going to run down here. These are archers who actually are going to be kind of tough for me to kill. I'll show you this battle real quick. Okay, so this is about 2 turns of mages. So you can see the archers are pretty effective. I did take some losses here. But once I get into combat, they just melt. So I think I took 1 or 2 losses. 1. Versus melee troops, you're not really going to take any. Furblog warriors, that's kind of scary. So I'll show you this. There's a lot of heavy cavalry here, which normally is very scary if you're expanding into them. However, versus these guys, it's not nearly as bad. I want to go ahead and load up some gems on them. And that will be used later as I do another strategy. I will show you the real reason I do this bless, and then I'll show you the game in the next episode. Okay, that seems to have been effective. I'll just show you this again so you can see how nasty these guys are in initial expansion. So normally you would see that many heavy cavalry coming to you and you would be pretty damn scared. But have no fear, because we've got Twist Fate to absorb our first round of attack, which they do. And then they have very high defense. 21 defense, 17 attack, and then they do 16 damage plus their fire weapons. So they are quite nasty. Yeah. They're pretty damn solid. And we're going to have these guys move down here. I'm just going to show you now. Okay, so this is a pretty good group. So I'm going to have these guys move here, and I'm going to show you a pretty big battle. Wait, what the hell? Oh. These guys cast a spell on me. Weird. Okay. We're going to build a lab. I have to restock them. So, just going to put some gems on them real quick. And then I will show you the plan. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do Wrath of Ancestors, which is going to give us our final troop that I haven't really talked about, because you can only get them in battle. Actually, I think we can cast it almost 3 times. We'll do this 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. We're going to put these guys at the back. And we're going to have this guy cast Divine Blessing only. The problem with this nation is getting Divine Blessing up. To reliably get it, the best way is you have to have one of your H2 priests with a slave either cast Communion with 2 people with slave matrices on them, or you can give him a Master Matrix too. But this is kind of the way to get Divine Blessing. It's expensive. It requires you to get up construction. This is a very powerful nation once you hit certain research targets. But until then, for example, the spell I'm casting is a Conjuration 7 spell. But until then, you're pretty weak. So, sweet Jesus, it's really annoying. Okay, it looks like it worked though. Okay, so this is the spell. You use 1 death gem, and you get 20 of these guys. They have Paralyze, which normally doesn't do damage, but it's armor negating. They have 1 strength. I don't think, strength of wielder not added, yeah. So they're going to paralyze people, so it's really good against elite troops, which is normally a niche use. But if you do this very strong blessing, what happens is you get flame weapons, which means it does armor-piercing damage. It increases their attack and defense is quite nice when you are ethereal. And then they have quickness, so they're going to use this paralyzed attack twice. They become absolute monsters with this bless. Twist Fate is nice because it increases their magic resistance, and it gives them... Or the Astral Bless is nice because it increases their magic resistance and gives them Twist Fate, which allows them to do this silliness, as you are about to see. And this is just as good versus elite troops. In fact, kind of almost better. And they run through, and it just absolutely murders people. So you can see how nasty this is, but unfortunately, like I said, to get this, I'm going to show you in the next episode, you have to get to Conjuration 7, and I could never really get there. So thanks everyone for watching, and I will catch you next time.